The syringe caught the fluorescent light like a small, terrible promise. Marlena Hardy couldn't look at it. She looked instead at Bella, stretched across the clinic's cold blue floor, silver fur matted and dull, chest rising and falling in shallow, uneven waves. 15 years of memories pressed against Marlena's throat. 15 years ending in this sterile room that smelled like antiseptic and endings nobody wants. Dr. Klein stood beside the metal tray, syringe prepared, expression professional but kind, waiting for the word Marlena couldn't say. "Take your time," the vet said softly. But time was the problem. Time had already taken so much. Bella's strength, her appetite, the spark that used to light up those pale blue eyes every morning when Marlena came downstairs. Now those eyes stared forward, not glazed, not distant, just waiting. Marlena's hands trembled. "I don't know if I can do this." "It's the hardest decision," Dr. Klein said. "But sometimes it's the kindest one." Marlena knelt on the floor beside Bella, running her fingers through the Husky's thick coat. Bella's body was failing. Everyone could see it. The trembling legs, the labored breathing, the way she barely responded anymore. Everyone believed Bella was finished. But something about this moment felt wrong. Because when Marlena whispered Bella's name, barely a breath, barely a sound, Bella's ear twitched, her head shifted, and those pale blue eyes locked onto Marlena with an intensity that didn't belong in a dying dog. Not much, but enough. Enough to make the vet's hand hesitate over the syringe. Enough to make the veterinary technician step closer. Enough to make a receptionist pause in the hallway. Then Bella moved. One paw dragged forward across the polished floor, nails scraping against the tile. Then another, her body trembling with effort, her breath coming in ragged gasps. Bella pulled herself toward Marlena. "Bella?" Marlena gasped. The room went silent. Dr. Klein whispered, "That shouldn't be possible." But Bella didn't stop. She kept crawling, slow, desperate, determined, closing the distance between them while everyone watched, frozen, as a dying dog refused to act like one. A stranger pulled out their phone. The technician knelt down. The syringe stayed on the tray. And Marlena, kneeling on the cold clinic floor with tears streaming down her face, realized something that would change everything. Bella wasn't asking to die. She was asking to stay. "Before we continue Bella's impossible fight, I need your help with something. See that subscribe button?" Bella crawled across a cold clinic floor when everyone said she couldn't. "Surely you can move your thumb half an inch to hit subscribe, right? We're racing to 1,000 subscribers, and every single one of you proves that small actions can create miracles. Drop a comment telling us where you're watching from. Are you Team Bella in Texas? Toronto? Tokyo? Hit like, subscribe, and share this story. Because if Bella refused to give up, the least we can do is show up for each other. Let's go." Marlena had never imagined it would end like this. When she'd adopted Bella 15 years ago, the Husky was a whirlwind of energy. All bright eyes and boundless enthusiasm, pulling Marlena through hiking trails and snowy mornings and lonely nights after her divorce when the house felt too empty and the silence too loud. Bella had been more than a pet. She'd been a constant, a heartbeat, the one living thing that never judged, never left, never gave up on her. But time had slowly stolen that vibrant dog away. The veterinary clinic felt smaller than it had any right to be. Cold blue walls, fluorescent lights that buzzed faintly overhead. A poster about heartworm prevention that Marlena had been staring at for the past 10 minutes, unable to look down at the floor where Bella lay. The room smelled like antiseptic and endings. Dr. Klein moved quietly around the examination table, preparing the final instruments with practiced efficiency. The syringe, the catheter, the paperwork that would officially declare Bella's life over. Everything was ready. Everything was in place. Everything except Marlena's ability to say the word. "Whenever you're ready," Dr. Klein said gently, not for the first time. Marlena's throat closed. She nodded, but couldn't speak. Bella lay on the polished floor, her silver-gray fur spread around her like a fading shadow. Her once powerful legs were tucked beneath her, trembling slightly. Her breathing was shallow, uneven. But her eyes, those pale blue eyes that had watched Marlena through every season of their lives together, were still clear, still watching. "Did I wait too long?" Marlena whispered. Dr. Klein crouched beside Bella, her hand resting gently on the Husky's side. "There's never a perfect time, but her quality of life has declined significantly over the past few weeks. She's not eating. She can barely stand. Her kidneys are showing signs of failure." Marlena knew all of this. She'd watched it happen, watched Bella grow weaker day by day, watched the light dim in those eyes, watched her struggle to do things that once came effortlessly. Last Tuesday, Bella couldn't make it down the porch steps. Last Friday, she'd refused her favorite treat. Yesterday morning, she hadn't even lifted her head when Marlena came downstairs. The signs were everywhere, undeniable. So why did this feel wrong? Marlena knelt on the cold floor beside Bella, her knees pressing against the hard tile. She ran her fingers through Bella's thick coat, feeling the warmth still there, the rise and fall of her chest. "I remember the first time I brought you home," Marlena said softly, her voice breaking. "You were so small. You fit in my lap. Do you remember?" Bella's ear twitched. Marlena closed her eyes, and suddenly she was there again. 10 years younger, standing in the animal shelter parking lot with a tiny ball of silver-gray fur squirming in her arms. Bella had looked up at her with those impossibly blue eyes, and something inside Marlena had shifted. Something broken had started to heal. The divorce had gutted her, left her hollow. But Bella had filled the space with warmth and chaos and unconditional love that asked for nothing except to be near her. They'd hiked every trail within 50 miles. Bella racing ahead, tongue lolling, tail wagging like a metronome set to joy. Marlena would watch her leap over fallen logs, chase squirrels she'd never catch, roll in snowbanks with pure, unfiltered happiness. On the hard nights, the nights when loneliness pressed too heavy and the future felt too uncertain, Bella would press her warm body against Marlena's side and just stay. No words, no judgment, just presence. "You saved me," Marlena whispered. "You know that, right? When I had nothing left, you gave me a reason to wake up every morning." Dr. Klein stood quietly to the side, giving Marlena space. The vet had done this hundreds of times, but her expression remained compassionate. Professional, but human. "She's had a good life," Dr. Klein said. "You gave her that. Had she, or had she failed Bella at the end? Let her suffer too long because Marlena couldn't bear to let go?" "How do I know?" Marlena asked, tears streaming freely now. "How do I know this is what she wants?" "When a dog stops engaging with the world," Dr. Klein explained, "when they stop seeking food, comfort, connection, that's usually the sign. Bella isn't rallying. She's declining. And at this stage, we're preventing suffering rather than prolonging life." Marlena looked down at Bella. The Husky's body was so still, so fragile. Nothing like the powerhouse who'd pulled her through snowdrifts and muddy trails, who'd been strong enough to drag Marlena forward when she couldn't move on her own. But something about those eyes, they weren't empty. They weren't distant. They were looking at her. "I'm so sorry," Marlena sobbed, pressing her forehead against Bella's. "I'm so sorry, girl. I don't want to do this. I don't want to say goodbye." The clinic was silent except for Marlena's broken breathing. Dr. Klein moved closer. "Would you like a few more minutes?" Marlena shook her head. If she waited longer, she'd never have the strength. "No, Her voice cracked. "Let's do it. Before I lose my nerve." Dr. Klein nodded and prepared the syringe. Marlena's heart hammered against her ribs. This was it. The final moment. The last time she'd feel Bella's warmth. Hear her breath. See those eyes looking back at her. "I love you," Marlena whispered, her voice barely audible. "I love you so much, Bella. Thank you for everything. Thank you for choosing me." She stroked Bella's face, memorizing every detail. The soft fur around her muzzle, the white markings above her eyes, the way her ears tilted slightly forward. And then, in the terrible quiet, Marlena whispered Bella's name one last time. "Bella!" The husky's ear twitched. Then her head shifted just slightly, turning toward Marlena's voice. And those pale blue eyes focused with an intensity that stopped Marlena's breath. Bella's paw moved, one trembling scrape against the polished floor. Dr. Klein froze, syringe in hand. Marlena stared, heart pounding. Because dying dogs don't do that. Dying dogs don't track voices. Dying dogs don't reach. "Bella?" Marlena breathed, and Bella moved again. The moment stretched impossibly long. Bella's paw scraped against the floor again. A deliberate movement, not a spasm. Her chest rose with a deeper breath, as if she was gathering strength from somewhere Marlena couldn't see. Did she just... Marlena's words caught in her throat. Dr. Klein lowered the syringe slowly, her professional composure cracking just slightly. "Hold on." The vet moved closer, crouching beside Bella with careful precision. She watched the husky's face, her eyes, the subtle movements that most people wouldn't notice, but that years of veterinary medicine had trained her to see. Bella's gaze stayed locked on Marlena, not wandering, not distant, focused. "Bella, baby, can you hear me?" Marlena leaned in closer, her hand trembling as she placed it on Bella's side. The husky's breathing shifted. The shallow, uneven rhythm deepened just slightly, as if responding to Marlena's touch. Her rib cage expanded more fully under Marlena's palm. "That's not..." Dr. Klein trailed off, studying Bella with new intensity. What is it?" "She's responding to you." The vet's voice carried a note of confusion. Dogs in end-stage shutdown typically don't do this. Their systems are too compromised. They retreat inward. But Bella wasn't retreating. Marlena's heart hammered as she watched Bella's eyes track her movements. When Marlena shifted to the left, Bella's head turned. Barely, painfully, but deliberately to follow. "I don't understand," Marlena whispered. Is this normal?" Dr. Klein shook her head slowly. "No, this isn't typical dying behavior." A veterinary technician appeared in the doorway, drawn by the unusual stillness in the room. Sarah, a young woman with kind eyes who'd helped prep Bella earlier, stepped inside, her expression curious. "Everything okay, Dr. Klein?" The vet gestured toward Bella without taking her eyes off the husky. "Watch this." She held up 2 fingers in Bella's field of vision and moved them slowly from left to right. Bella's eyes followed. Sarah's breath caught. "She's tracking. She shouldn't be," Dr. Klein murmured. Marlena felt something shift in her chest. A dangerous thing called hope. The same hope she'd been trying to bury for weeks. The hope that had kept her awake at night wondering if she was giving up too soon or holding on too long. She remembered another moment years ago when everyone had counted Bella out. Bella had been 8. They'd been hiking in the Cascades when Bella had slipped on loose scree and tumbled 15 feet down a rocky slope. Marlena had scrambled down after her, heart in her throat, certain she'd find her dog broken beyond repair. But Bella had been standing when Marlena reached her. Shaking, bleeding from a gash on her leg, but standing. Those same blue eyes had looked at Marlena with absolute trust. "I'm okay. We keep going." The emergency vet had warned that Bella might never hike again. Soft tissue damage. Possible nerve injury. 3 months later, Bella had led Marlena up the same trail, moving with the same fearless energy, as if daring the mountain to try again. She'd refused to quit then. Was she refusing now? "Bella," Marlena said firmly, testing. "Bella, look at me." The husky's ear swiveled toward the sound. Then her whole head turned, slow, trembling, but purposeful. Those pale blue eyes found Marlena's face and held. "Oh my God," Sarah whispered. Dr. Klein set the syringe back on the metal tray, her movements careful, as if the moment might shatter. "I need to reassess. What does this mean?" Marlena asked, not daring to believe what she was seeing. "I don't know yet." Dr. Klein pulled out a small penlight and checked Bella's pupils. They constricted in response to the light. Her neurological responses are present. That's unexpected given her presentation earlier. Had it only been 20 minutes ago that Marlena had carried Bella into this clinic, convinced her dog was hours from death? Bella hadn't been able to stand in the parking lot, hadn't lifted her head in the car. Seemed so distant, so unreachable. But now, Bella's front paw moved again. This time it wasn't just a twitch. She planted it deliberately on the floor and pulled. Her back legs remained tucked and trembling, but her front half shifted forward, 1 agonizing inch, toward Marlena. "She's trying to move," Sarah said, dropping to her knees beside the husky. "Dr. Klein, she's actually trying to move." The vet's expression was a mixture of professional concern and something that looked almost like wonder. "Bella, easy girl. Don't strain yourself." But Bella wasn't listening. Her other front paw came forward, nails scraping against the polished tile with a sound that echoed through the small room. Another pull, another inch. Her breathing grew labored with the effort. Her body shook violently, but her eyes never left Marlena's face. "I'm right here, baby," Marlena sobbed, reaching out. "I'm right here." She started to close the distance between them, but Dr. Klein held up a hand. "Wait, let her come to you. She's too weak. Let her try." It was the hardest thing Marlena had ever done. Kneeling there on the cold floor, watching Bella struggle, every muscle in her own body screaming to help, to scoop her up, to end this painful effort. But something about the determination in Bella's eyes stopped her. This mattered. Whatever was happening, Bella needed to do this. The door to the examination room had been left ajar, and through it, Marlena could see a woman in the waiting area. A stranger, there for her own appointment. The woman had noticed the commotion and was peering through the doorway, her phone raised. She was filming. Marlena should have cared, should have felt invaded. But she couldn't look away from Bella. Another scrape, another pull. Bella's front legs trembled under her weight, threatening to collapse. Her breathing came in ragged gasps, but she kept moving, 1 impossible inch at a time, dragging herself across the clinic floor toward the person she loved. Sarah pressed her hand to her mouth, tears streaming down her face. Dr. Klein watched in silence, her clinical detachment giving way to raw emotion. And Marlena felt her heart breaking and mending all at once. "That's it, Bella. That's my girl," she whispered. "Come on, baby. You can do it." The distance between them was only 3 feet. It might as well have been a mile. But Bella didn't stop. She dragged herself forward, nails scraping, body shaking, breath rattling, but moving, always moving, toward Marlena, toward home, toward life. The clinic had gone completely silent. Not the empty silence of before, the silence of endings and resigned acceptance. This was different. This was the breathless quiet of witnesses watching something impossible unfold. Sarah, the technician, had moved to the doorway without realizing it, one hand gripping the frame as if she needed to steady herself. Behind her, the woman with the phone had stepped fully into the hallway, recording with shaking hands, tears streaming down her face though she'd never met Bella, had no connection to this dog except the one forming right now. In the reception area, Jennifer, the clinic's receptionist who'd checked Marlena in 40 minutes with practiced sympathy, had abandoned her desk entirely. She stood in the hallway now, watching through the open door, her hand pressed over her mouth. Everyone was watching. Everyone was holding their breath. And Bella kept crawling. 3 feet had become 2. Her front legs shook with each movement, muscles that shouldn't be working somehow finding strength they didn't have. Her back legs dragged uselessly behind her, but her front paws never stopped. Scrape, pull, scrape, pull, the sound echoing through the clinic like a heartbeat. Marlena couldn't speak anymore. She knelt on the cold floor, hands pressed against her chest, sobbing so hard her whole body shook. Every instinct screamed at her to close the distance, to gather Bella up and end this painful crawl. But Dr. Klein's hand on her shoulder kept her still. "Let her finish," the vet whispered, and there were tears in her voice too. Bella's breathing was labored now, each inhaling a visible struggle. Her silver-gray fur was matted with the effort, her body trembling violently. But those pale blue eyes never wavered, never left Marlena's face. "I'm coming. Wait for me. I'm coming." "You can do it, girl," Marlena choked out. "You're almost here." 2 feet became 18 inches. Sarah let out a strangled sound, half laugh, half sob. "She's really doing it." The woman filming whispered something Marlena couldn't hear, but her phone never lowered. This moment was being captured, preserved, becoming something bigger than just a private goodbye that had somehow transformed into something else entirely. Dr. Klein stood with the syringe still in her hand, but she'd moved away from Bella, giving the dog space. Her professional mask had cracked completely. She was just a person now, watching a miracle that her medical training couldn't explain. "In 15 years, Dr. Klein said quietly, "I've never seen anything like this." Jennifer appeared in the doorway, mascara running down her cheeks. "Is she?" "She's fighting," Sarah said. 18 inches became a foot. Bella's front legs buckled. She collapsed, her chin hitting the floor with a sound that made everyone flinch. For one terrible moment, she lay still, sides heaving, and Marlena thought this was it. She'd tried and failed, spent everything she had and come up short. But then Bella's paw moved again, and again. "Oh my God," Jennifer whispered. "She's still going." The rules of the clinic, the professional boundaries, the careful emotional distance that let veterinarians and staff do this work day after day, were bending, breaking, falling away completely. This wasn't a standard euthanasia appointment anymore. This was something none of them had words for. A small crowd had gathered in the hallway now. Other pet owners, drawn by the commotion. A young man holding a cat carrier. An elderly woman with a terrier on a leash. Another technician Marlena didn't recognize. All of them standing in reverent silence, watching. All of them rooting for a dog they'd never met. "Come on, Bella," someone whispered. "You've got this," another voice added. The energy in the clinic had transformed. What had been a place of endings was now something else. A space holding its breath, suspended between grief and hope, watching a 15-year-old husky refuse to accept what everyone believed was inevitable. Bella pulled herself forward another few inches. Her breathing was ragged, desperate. Her whole body shook with exhaustion. But her eyes, those impossibly blue eyes, burned with something fiercer than determination. Love. Pure, uncomplicated, absolute love. 6 inches left now. Marlena could almost reach her. I almost touched her. She extended her hand, fingers trembling, not quite closing the gap but offering a target, a destination. "I'm here, baby," she sobbed. "I'm right here. Just a little more." Bella's paw scraped forward. Then something shifted in the husky's body. Some decisions were made, some final reserves of strength accessed. Her front legs, those trembling, exhausted legs, pressed more firmly against the floor. Sarah gasped. Is she? Bella was trying to stand. Her shoulders bunched. Her front paws pushed. Her entire body strained against gravity, against age, against every physical limitation that said this was impossible. Bella, no, you don't have to. Marlena reached for her. But Bella wasn't done. Her front end lifted 1 inch, 2 inches, rising off the floor in slow, agonizing increments. Her back legs remained splayed behind her, useless, but her front half was rising. Dr. Klein stepped forward instinctively, as if to catch her. She shouldn't be able to. Bella's legs trembled violently. She was using muscles that had been failing for weeks, asking a body that was supposed to be shutting down to do something it had no business doing. But she kept rising. 3 inches. 4. The hallway crowd pressed closer, everyone leaning in, afraid to breathe, afraid to hope, afraid to look away. Marlena knelt frozen, hands outstretched, watching her 15-year-old husky attempt the impossible. She's standing, Jennifer breathed. She's actually. Bella's legs gave out. She collapsed forward, and Marlena lunged, catching her before she hit the floor, gathering Bella's trembling body against her chest as they both sank down together in a tangle of fur and tears and 15 years of love that refused to end quietly. And Bella, exhausted, shaking, barely able to lift her head, pressed her face into Marlena's neck and breathed. Still here, still fighting, still choosing to stay. Okay, real talk. Right now, millions of people scroll past stories that could change their perspective on love, loyalty, and never giving up. But you're still here. You're watching Bella fight, and I'm going to ask you to fight with us. We're on a mission to hit 1,000 subscribers, and honestly, some people said we'd never make it. Let's prove them hilariously wrong. Smash that subscribe button like Bella smashed everyone's expectations. Drop a like. Tell us in the comments where you're watching from. Shout out your city, your country, your favorite spot on this planet. And share this story with someone who needs to remember that giving up is never the only option. Bella didn't quit. Don't you dare scroll past without subscribing. Marlena held Bella against her chest, feeling the rapid hammering of the husky's heart, the trembling that racked her entire body. Bella's face pressed into the crook of Marlena's neck, warm breath against her skin. Proof of life, proof of will, proof of something stronger than medicine could measure. I've got you, Marlena whispered. I've got you, baby. But Bella wasn't settling. Her body tensed in Marlena's arms, muscles coiling despite the exhaustion, despite the trembling. She was pushing against Marlena's chest. Not away, but she's trying again, Sarah said, her voice breaking. Dr. Klein moved closer. Bella, no, you need to rest. But Bella wasn't listening. She planted her front paws against the floor, pushing up from Marlena's embrace with a determination that defied every physical limitation her body carried. Marlena loosened her grip, afraid to help, afraid not to, caught between protecting Bella from herself and honoring whatever was driving this impossible effort. Bella's front legs locked, shaking violently but locked. Then her back legs, those useless, failing legs that hadn't supported her weight in days, began to move, not dragging, moving. Her haunches shifted, paws scrambling for purchase on the slick floor. Oh my God! Jennifer breathed from the doorway. Bella's back left leg found traction. Then her right. She pushed, and her hindquarters lifted. 1 inch, 2 inches. Her whole body rising like something being resurrected. She was standing. Bella was standing. Her legs shook so violently it seemed impossible they could hold her. Each muscle trembling under strain they shouldn't be able to bear. But she was upright, all 4 paws on the ground, swaying slightly but standing. The hallway crowd erupted in gasps and strangled sobs. The woman with the phone zoomed in closer, capturing every impossible second. Marlena stared, hands hovering uselessly, afraid to touch her, afraid to break whatever spell was holding Bella together. Bella! The husky took a step, one shaking, unsteady step toward Marlena. Dr. Klein's mouth opened but no sound came out. Bella's legs buckled. She went down hard, her body hitting the floor with a thud that made everyone flinch. For a moment she lay there, sides heaving, and Marlena thought, "This is it, she gave everything, it's over." But Bella's front paws moved again, planted, pushed, and she stood, again. "This isn't possible," Dr. Klein whispered. But her words carried no conviction. Everyone was watching the impossible happen. Bella took another trembling step, then another. Her back legs nearly gave out twice, but she caught herself, adjusted, kept moving. 3 feet of distance had become 2, then 1, then Bella reached Marlena and collapsed forward into her arms. This time Marlena caught her fully, gathering all 60 pounds of trembling, exhausted husky against her chest. Bella's face pressed into Marlena's shoulder, her whole body shaking with effort, with emotion, with something that felt like relief. "You did it," Marlena sobbed. "Oh God, Bella, you did it." Behind them, the metallic sound of something hitting the floor made Marlena turn. Dr. Klein stood with her hand still raised, staring at the syringe that had fallen from her grip. The clear liquid pooled on the polished tile, the ending that would never happen now. The euthanasia clock had stopped. "Dr. Klein." Sarah's voice was tentative, hopeful. "What do we?" "I don't know." The vet crouched down, her professional composure completely shattered. I need to think. This isn't..." She looked at Bella. Really looked, seeing something different than the dying dog she'd assessed 30 minutes ago. "This isn't end-stage behavior." "Then what is it?" Marlena asked, still holding Bella, afraid to let go. Dr. Klein shook her head slowly. "I don't know. But I'm not." She gestured at the syringe on the floor. "I can't proceed. Not with her responding like this." The relief that flooded Marlena's chest was so powerful it hurt. She pressed her face into Bella's fur, breathing in the familiar scent of her, feeling the warmth that meant alive, still alive. Footsteps thundered down the hallway. A tall man in surgical scrubs burst into the room, Dr. Marcus, the clinic's senior veterinarian. He must have been in surgery, drawn out by the commotion. "What's going on?" he demanded. "We can hear everything in." He stopped, taking in the scene. Marlena on the floor holding Bella. The crowd in the doorway. Dr. Klein staring at her patient with something like shock. "Helen, what happened?" Dr. Klein, Helen stood up quickly. "Marcus, I need you to look at this dog. Now." There was something in her voice that made him move immediately. He knelt beside Marlena, his hands already reaching for Bella with the confidence of decades of experience. "May I?" he asked Marlena gently. She nodded, loosening her grip reluctantly. Dr. Marcus ran his hands over Bella's body, his face intense with concentration. He checked her gums, her eyes, her heart rate, pressed his fingers against her abdomen, felt along her spine. His examination was quick but thorough, and with every passing second, his expression shifted. "How long has she been like this?" he asked. "She wasn't," Dr. Klein said. 20 minutes ago, she was minimally responsive. Couldn't stand it. Severe lethargy. All signs pointed to end-stage organ failure. I prepped for euthanasia. But then, she stood up, Sarah finished, walked across the room. Dr. Marcus's hands are still on Bella's side. He looked at Dr. Klein, then at Bella, then back again. "That's not consistent with what you're describing." "I know." He pulled out a penlight, checking Bella's neurological responses again. Her pupils reacted normally. When he tested her reflexes, they fired. Weak, but present. "Her heart rate is elevated," he said, "but not dangerously so." Respiratory rate is high stress response. But her mucous membranes. He checked her gums again. They're not showing signs of shock or shutdown. They're pink. Good capillary refill. That's what I thought, Dr. Klein said. But her presentation earlier, Marcus, I wasn't wrong about what I saw. I'm not saying you were. He sat back on his heels, his expression troubled. But this isn't a dog in active death. This is a dog in crisis. There's a difference. Marlena's heart was hammering. What does that mean? Dr. Marcus looked at her, and there was something different in his eyes now. Not the gentle sympathy of a vet preparing an owner for loss. Something else. Something that looked almost like hope. It means, he said carefully, that what we're seeing might not be organ failure. It might be a severe neurological event. A crash that mimics end-stage symptoms, but... He paused, choosing his words carefully. But it might be treatable. The word hung in the air like a lifeline. Treatable. She's not dying? Marlena's voice broke. Dr. Marcus held up a cautionary hand. I'm not making any promises, but she's fighting, and that matters. The will to survive is a powerful indicator. He stood, making a decision. We need to run full blood work. Get imaging. Rule out or confirm what we're dealing with. Should we? Dr. Klein gestured at the examination room that had been prepared for death. No. Dr. Marcus's voice was firm. We moved her to emergency stabilization. Now. He looked down at Bella, who was still trembling in Marlena's arms but very much alive, very much present. She's not dying, he said quietly. She's crashing, and if we're fast enough, we might be able to catch her before she falls. Everything moved fast after that. Dr. Marcus scooped Bella up with practiced efficiency, cradling her 60 pounds like she weighed nothing. Bella's head lolled against his chest, exhausted from her impossible journey across the clinic floor, but her eyes tracked Marlena as they moved. Stay with me, girl, Dr. Marcus murmured. We've got you now. Sarah rushed ahead, clearing a path through the hallway crowd. Jennifer was already on the phone, her voice rapid and professional as she called in the emergency protocol. The clinic transformed around them. What had been a place of quiet endings became a storm of urgent action. Marlena scrambled to her feet, legs numb from kneeling, and tried to follow. Dr. Klein caught her arm gently. Let them work, she said. You can't go back there right now. But she needs me. She needs them to stabilize her. Dr. Klein's voice was kind but firm. And they need space to do it. Marlena watched helplessly as Dr. Marcus disappeared through the double doors marked emergency care. Staff only. Sarah followed. Then another technician Marlena hadn't seen before. The doors swung shut with a pneumatic hiss that sounded like finality. Bella was gone. But not the way Marlena had thought she'd be gone. Come on. Dr. Klein guided her toward the waiting area. Let me explain what we think is happening. The hallway crowd parted respectfully. The woman who'd been filming lowered her phone, wiping tears from her face. Is she going to be okay? She asked. We're going to try, Dr. Klein said. They sat in the waiting area, the same chairs where Marlena had filled out euthanasia consent forms an hour ago. The paperwork still sat on the reception desk, half completed, now meaningless. Jennifer quietly tucked it away. Dr. Klein pulled her chair close, her hands folded in her lap. She'd composed herself somewhat, but her eyes were still red. What happened to Bella isn't uncommon in aging dogs, she began. But it's often misunderstood, even by veterinarians. Marlena nodded, trying to focus through the fog of adrenaline and fear. Geriatric dogs can experience what we call acute neurological crashes. Their systems become overwhelmed, sometimes from pain, sometimes from inflammation, sometimes from metabolic imbalances we don't immediately detect. They present almost identically to end-stage organ failure. Lethargy. loss of appetite, inability to stand. All the classic signs that say, it's time. But it's not, Marlena whispered. Sometimes it's not, Dr. Klein corrected gently. Sometimes it is. That's what makes this so difficult. The symptoms overlap almost completely. But there's one key difference. Dogs in true end-stage decline don't rally. They don't fight. They've surrendered. She paused. Bella fought. Marlena remembered those pale blue eyes tracking her. The scrape of nails on the clinic floor. The impossible moment when Bella had stood. So she's not dying? Dr. Klein chose her words carefully. She's in crisis. Her body is struggling with something, we don't know what yet. Could be a severe infection, a metabolic disorder, neurological inflammation, even something as simple as extreme dehydration combined with pain overwhelming her system. But the fact that she responded to you, that she had the will and the strength to move, that tells us her core systems aren't shutting down. Not yet. Relief and guilt crashed into each other in Marlena's chest with such force she could barely breathe. Relief because Bella might live. Guilt because she'd been seconds away from ending her life. I almost killed her, Marlena said, the words barely audible. I signed the papers. I brought her here to die and she wasn't ready. Oh God! I almost... You didn't. Dr. Klein's hand found Marlena's shoulder. You brought her here because you love her, because you didn't want her to suffer. You made the decision every responsible pet owner has to make. You couldn't have known. But I should have. Marlena. Dr. Klein's voice was firm. I examined Bella. I saw the same symptoms you did. I agreed it was time. I prepared that syringe believing I was preventing suffering. We were both wrong, or we might have been right and something changed in the past hour. We don't know yet. But what matters now is that we stopped. We listened when she told us she wasn't ready. That's not failure. That's love. Marlena pressed her hands against her face, trying to hold herself together. Around them, the waiting room was filled with quiet witnesses. The woman with the phone, the man with the cat carrier, the elderly woman with the terrier, Jennifer at the desk. Even 2 other technicians had emerged from the back, drawn by the unfolding drama. They were all waiting, all rooting for a 15-year-old husky they'd never met before today. How long until we know something? Marlena asked. Dr. Klein checked her watch. They'll run blood work, start 4 fluids, and do a full neurological assessment. Initial results should come back in 20 to 30 minutes. But understanding what we're dealing with, that could take hours. Hours. Marlena had walked into this clinic an hour ago believing she had minutes left with Bella. Now she might have hours. Maybe more. Maybe the thought was too fragile to fully form, maybe much more. The waiting was agony. Marlena couldn't sit still. She paced the small waiting area, wearing a path in the industrial carpet. Every time the emergency care doors opened, her heart leaped, but it was always just staff moving between rooms, not ready with news yet. Jennifer brought her water. She couldn't drink it. Sarah emerged once, scrubs rumpled, to update the waiting room. She's stable. Dr. Marcus has her on fluids and oxygen. She's resting. Can I see her? Not yet. I'm sorry. The woman who'd filmed everything approached hesitantly. I'm Claire, she said. I just wanted to say what your dog did in there. I've never seen anything like that. The way she fought to reach you. Her voice cracked. It was the most beautiful thing. Marlena managed a shaky smile. She's stubborn. She's a warrior, Claire corrected. She held up her phone. I know this is probably weird, but I posted the video. It's already being shared. Thousands of people are rooting for Bella now. Marlena should have felt violated. Instead, she felt strangely comforted. Bella wasn't fighting alone. An army of strangers was holding its breath with her. 45 minutes passed. Then an hour. Dr. Marcus finally emerged through the double doors, still in his surgical scrubs, a tablet in his hands. His expression was serious but not defeated. Everyone in the waiting room stood. "Marlena," he said. She stepped forward, legs shaking. "Is she?" "She's alive," he said, and the relief in the room was palpable. "But she's fragile. Her blood work shows severe inflammation and dehydration. Her kidney values are elevated but not critical. The good news is we're not seeing signs of organ failure. What's the bad news? She's not out of danger. Whatever triggered this crash, we're still investigating. But her body has been through significant trauma. The next 12 to 24 hours will be critical." He paused. "But Marlena, she's fighting. Even now, sedated and on supportive care, her vitals are stronger than they should be. She wants to live." Marlena's knees buckled. Dr. Klein caught her, helped her back into a chair. "Can I see her?" Marlena whispered. Dr. Marcus nodded. 5 minutes. She needs rest, but... He smiled slightly. "I think she needs you more." The emergency care room was dimmer than the examination room had been. Softer lighting, quieter machines, designed for recovery rather than endings. Bella lay on a padded table, and 4-line running into her front leg, an oxygen mask resting near her muzzle. Her eyes were closed, her breathing steady but shallow. She looked so small. Marlena approached slowly, afraid to disturb her, afraid this was a dream that would shatter if she moved too quickly. Dr. Marcus stood nearby, monitoring the equipment, giving her space. "She's sedated," he said quietly. "But she can hear you." Marlena's hand trembled as she reached out and touched Bella's head. The fur was still warm, still soft. Still Bella. "Hey girl," she whispered. "I'm here." Bella's ear twitched. Even in sedation, even after everything, she knew Marlena's voice. The tears came then. Not the desperate, breaking sobs from before, but something deeper, quieter. The kind of tears that come from 15 years of history condensed into a single moment of almost loss. "I almost lost you," Marlena breathed, her fingers tracing the familiar markings around Bella's closed eyes. "I almost let you go." Marlena had been 32 when she'd walked into that animal shelter, 3 months after her divorce had finalized. The house had felt too big, too quiet, too full of spaces where another person used to be. Her friends had suggested getting out more, meeting people, joining a gym or a book club. Instead, she'd driven to the county shelter on a rainy Tuesday afternoon, not really knowing what she was looking for, just knowing she needed something to come home to that wasn't silent. Bella had been in the back corner of the kennel, a 4-month-old husky puppy with oversized paws and eyes that seemed too blue to be real. While the other dogs barked and jumped at their cage doors, desperate for attention, Bella had simply sat and watched Marlena approach. When their eyes met, something in Marlena's chest had cracked open. The shelter volunteer had warned her, "Huskies are high energy. They need a lot of exercise, a lot of attention. They're not beginner dogs." Marlena had signed the papers anyway. The first 6 months had been chaos. Bella had chewed through 2 pairs of running shoes, 1 couch cushion, and the corner of Marlena's favorite coffee table. She'd howled at 3 a.m., demanding attention. She'd pulled so hard on the leash during walks that Marlena's shoulders ached. But she'd also filled the silent house with life. She'd forced Marlena to wake up early, to go outside, to move her body through hiking trails and parks and neighborhoods. She'd made Marlena laugh for the first time since the divorce when she'd stolen an entire pizza off the counter and looked so proud of herself that anger was impossible. Most importantly, Bella had been there. On the nights when the loneliness felt crushing, Bella would press her warm body against Marlena's side and just stay. No judgment about the tears. No questions about why Marlena was watching TV at 2 a.m. instead of sleeping. Just presence. Constant, unwavering presence. Bella had been there when Marlena's father died 2 years later. had rested her head on Marlena's lap during the funeral reception while relatives offered useless platitudes. Her steady breathing the only comfort that felt real. Bella had been there when Marlena changed careers at 35, taking a terrifying leap from corporate accounting to freelance consulting. Had sat beside her desk during those first uncertain months, offering silent encouragement through her mere existence. Bella had been there through 3 moves, 2 cross-country road trips, 1 brief and unsuccessful attempt at dating again, and countless ordinary days that had somehow, together, built a life worth living. She wasn't just a dog. She was the thread that had held Marlena together when everything else was falling apart. Dr. Marcus's voice pulled Marlena back to the present. Her response to treatment is encouraging. The fluids are helping. Her temperature is stabilizing. Behind him, through the observation window, Marlena could see Sarah and another technician preparing medication, checking monitors, their movements practiced but invested. They'd stopped seeing this as just another case. Bella had done that, had turned professional duty into personal mission. What happens now? Marlena asked, not taking her eyes off Bella. We continue supportive care through the night. Keep her hydrated. Manage her pain. Monitor for any deterioration. If she remains stable, we'll do more comprehensive imaging tomorrow. Ultrasound, possibly X-rays, to understand what triggered the crash. And if she's not stable? Dr. Marcus met her eyes. Then we adjust. But Marlena, what happened in that examination room, that level of determination, it matters. Medical science can only do so much. The patient's will to survive often makes the difference. Bella's paw twitched slightly, as if responding to their voices. Marlena leaned closer. You have to keep fighting, Bella. Do you hear me? We're not done yet. We have more trails to hike, more sunsets to watch, more mornings where you wake me up too early because you want breakfast. Her voice broke. I'm not ready to say goodbye, so you can't be ready either. Dr. Marcus stepped back, giving them privacy. Through the window, Sarah was watching, hand pressed to her heart. Marlena stayed there, her forehead resting gently against Bella's side, feeling the rise and fall of her breathing. Each breath was a promise. Each heartbeat was defiance. She thought about the syringe on the examination room floor, the consent forms tucked away in Jennifer's desk. How close they'd come to ending something that wasn't ready to end. Love wasn't supposed to work like this. It wasn't supposed to drag itself across cold clinic floors on failing legs. It wasn't supposed to stand when standing was impossible. It wasn't supposed to fight when everyone said it was time to surrender. But it had. And watching Bella now, sedated, fragile, but alive, Marlena understood something she'd missed in all the weeks of watching her decline. She'd been so focused on the failing body that she'd stopped seeing the unbroken spirit inside it. She'd been measuring Bella's quality of life by physical markers. Can she walk? Can she eat? Can she play? Without realizing that Bella had been measuring it differently. By presence. By connection. By the simple fact of being together. Bella hadn't been asking to die. She'd been asking not to be alone. 5 minutes is up, Dr. Marcus said gently. Marlena nodded but didn't move. She stroked Bella's head one more time, memorizing the feel of her, the warmth of her. I'll be right outside, she whispered. I'm not going anywhere. You rest, and when you wake up, I'll be there. I promise. Bella's breathing deepened slightly, as if she'd heard, as if she understood. Marlena forced herself to step away, to leave the emergency care room, to let the medical staff do their work. But as she walked back through those double doors into the waiting area, she carried something different than what she'd brought in. Not goodbye, not closure. Hope. Fragile, terrifying, precious hope. She'd walked into this clinic today prepared to end a life. Instead, she'd witnessed love refuse to die. And whether Bella had 12 more hours or 12 more months, Marlena knew one thing with absolute certainty. Love almost ended today, but it hadn't, and that changed everything. Listen, if you've made it this far without crying, you're stronger than me. And if Bella's story is touching your heart, imagine what it could do for someone else who's facing an impossible choice right now. Here's the thing, we're trying to reach 1,000 subscribers, and every subscription means this story reaches someone who desperately needs it. Maybe it's someone sitting in a vet's office right now. Maybe it's someone who's forgotten what it looks like when love refuses to quit. Hit that subscribe button. Click the like. Drop a comment with where you're watching from. I want to see this community stretch across every corner of the world. And please share this video. Because Bella's message is bigger than one dog, one owner, one moment. It's about all of us choosing not to give up. Let's do this together. The night was long. Marlena stayed in the waiting room, refusing to leave despite Jennifer's gentle suggestions that she go home and rest. How could she rest? How could she be anywhere but here, as close to Bella as the clinic would allow? The overhead lights had been dimmed after business hours. The other pet owners had gone home. Even the woman who'd filmed everything, Claire, had reluctantly left after making Marlena promise to update her. The clinic had grown quiet, but it wasn't the terrible silence of before. This silence felt like waiting, like possibility. Dr. Marcus emerged every few hours with updates. Bella's vitals were holding. The fluids were working. She was resting peacefully. But he never said she was out of danger. Dawn broke gray and cold through the waiting room windows. Marlena had dozed fitfully in the uncomfortable chair, jerking awake every time she heard footsteps, every time a door opened. When Dr. Marcus finally came through the double doors at 6:47 a.m., his face was tired but not grim. He carried his tablet and a cup of coffee that smelled like he'd brewed it strong enough to wake the dead. "She made it through the night," he said, sitting down across from Marlena. "That's a good sign." Marlena felt the tension in her shoulders ease fractionally. "Can I see her?" "In a minute. First, we need to talk." He set his tablet on the small table between them, pulling up Bella's chart. Her blood work from this morning shows improvement. The inflammation markers are down. Kidney values are better, though still elevated. She's responding to treatment. "That's good," Marlena said, but she could hear the but hanging in the air. "It is good," Dr. Marcus confirmed. "But Marlena, we need to have a realistic conversation about what comes next." She nodded, bracing herself. "Bella is 15 years old. That's ancient for a husky, well beyond their typical lifespan. Even with treatment, even if we determine exactly what caused this crash and manage it perfectly, we're buying time. Not years. Maybe not even months." He spoke gently, but didn't soften the truth. "Her body is old, worn down. What happened yesterday isn't something she can bounce back from the way a younger dog would." "I know," Marlena whispered. "I know she's old. Which means we have a decision to make together." Dr. Marcus leaned forward, his hands clasped. "We can pursue aggressive treatment, more diagnostics, medication protocols, possibly hospitalization for several days. We might extend her life, but we'll also be putting her through stress, discomfort, and procedures that won't be easy at her age." Marlena felt her stomach drop. Or we focus on comfort care. We stabilize her enough to go home, manage her pain, keep her comfortable, and let her spend whatever time she has left in familiar surroundings with you. No invasive treatments, no hospital stays, just quality over quantity. The choice sat between them like a weight. "If I choose aggressive treatment," Marlena asked slowly, "what are we looking at? Realistically?" Dr. Marcus considered his words carefully. "Best case scenario? We identify the underlying cause, possibly a treatable infection or metabolic disorder, manage it effectively, and she gets a few more good months. Worst case? The treatment stress accelerates her decline and we end up right back here, having put her through procedures that didn't help. And if I choose comfort care? She might have weeks, maybe less, but they'd be peaceful weeks. Home with you. No needles, no tests, no overnight stays in unfamiliar places. He paused. There's no wrong answer here, Marlena. This is about what you think Bella would want. What you think honors her best. Marlena's hands trembled in her lap. This was the impossible calculus of loving something old, balancing hope against reality, fighting against surrendering quality of life against quantity of time. What would you do? She asked. If Bella were yours? Dr. Marcus was quiet for a long moment. I'd ask myself what kind of life she'd have with each option. Bella fought yesterday because she wanted to stay with you. But would she want to stay if it meant weeks of medical procedures? Or would she want those final weeks to be about you and her, without the clinic being the center of her world? Marlena closed her eyes. She thought about Bella's favorite things. The morning sun on the back porch. The soft bed by Marlena's bedroom window. The way she used to beg for bits of cheese when Marlena cooked dinner, even though she barely ate anymore. Bella had fought to reach her yesterday, to be close, to be together. Maybe that was what she was asking for. Not more time at any cost. Just their time. Whatever was left of it. I want to take her home, Marlena said quietly. I want her last days, however many there are, to be about us. Not about medicine. Dr. Marcus nodded, something like approval in his tired eyes. I think that's a loving choice. Can I see her now? Marlena asked. You can. And Marlena? He stood. She's been asking for you. Asking. Every time the door opens, she lifts her head. Looking. Waiting. He smiled slightly. She knows when it's not you. The emergency care room looked different in the morning light. Less clinical somehow. Bella was awake this time, the oxygen mask removed, though the 4 lines still ran into her leg. She lay on her side, looking small and tired but undeniably present. When Marlena entered, Bella's ear swiveled toward the sound. Hey, baby, Marlena said softly. Bella's head lifted. Not much. The movement was slow, effortful, every muscle trembling with the weight of it. But she lifted her head off the padded table and turned toward Marlena's voice, those pale blue eyes finding her immediately. The bond between them sang across the space. Invisible, unbreakable, stronger than any medicine Dr. Marcus could prescribe. Marlena moved to Bella's side, her hand finding the familiar space behind Bella's ears, the spot that had always been their silent language of love. We're going home, Marlena whispered. No more hospitals. No more tests. Just you and me. Okay? However long we have. Bella's tail moved. Barely a twitch. But it moved. Sarah appeared in the doorway, monitoring equipment in hand. I heard you're taking her home, she said, and there was approval in her voice. I think that's beautiful. Will she be okay? Marlena asked. For the trip. We'll get her stable enough. Send you with medication for pain and inflammation. Instructions for keeping her comfortable. Sarah came closer, checking Bella's vitals one more time. She's a fighter, your girl. But she's fought enough, I think. Now she just needs to rest. Marlena nodded, blinking back fresh tears. Now she just needs to rest. Bella's eyes never left Marlena's face. Even weak, even exhausted, she tracked every movement, every expression, as if memorizing her. As if she knew, the way animals sometimes know, that something had changed. Not an ending, a choice. They were choosing each other one more time, for whatever time remained. I love you, Marlena whispered, leaning close. Whatever happens, you need to know you saved me first. Long before yesterday. You saved me. Bella's head lowered back to the table, but her eyes stayed open, stayed focused on Marlena. Still here, still choosing, still love. They went home 3 days later. 3 days of careful monitoring, of medication adjustments, of Marlena sleeping in the waiting room and Dr. Marcus bending the rules to let her visit Bella every few hours. 3 days of slow, incremental improvements that felt like miracles in miniature. Bella started eating again. Not much, just small amounts of soft food that Sarah hand-fed her. But it was something. Her kidney values continued to improve. The inflammation markers dropped steadily. Her eyes grew brighter, more alert. She wasn't the vibrant dog from years ago. She never would be again. But she was present. She was here. And that was everything. On the morning of discharge, Dr. Marcus sat with Marlena in the examination room. Not the one where they'd almost said goodbye, but a different one, smaller and warmer. "I need you to understand," he said, going over the care instructions one more time, "that this isn't a cure. We've stabilized her, managed the acute crisis, but her underlying age-related conditions remain. She'll have good days and bad days. The trajectory is still." "I know," Marlena interrupted gently. "I'm not expecting forever. I'm just grateful for today." Dr. Marcus studied her for a moment, then nodded. "That's the right perspective." He handed her a folder thick with paperwork, medication schedules, warning signs to watch for, emergency contact numbers. "Call us if anything changes. Anything at all." "I will." Sarah appeared in the doorway with Bella on a leash, moving slowly but moving under her own power. The Husky's steps were careful, deliberate, but she was walking. Her tail gave a small wag when she saw Marlena. "Someone's ready to go home," Sarah said, her voice thick with emotion. Marlena dropped to her knees, and Bella came to her. Slowly, shakily, but purposefully. She pressed her face into Marlena's hands, and Marlena felt the trembling in her body, the fragility, but also the strength, the choice to keep going. "Let's go home, girl," Marlena whispered. The clinic staff gathered in the hallway to see them off. Dr. Klein was there, still looking somewhat shaken by what she'd witnessed. Jennifer from reception. The young man who'd been in the waiting room with his cat carrier had somehow heard and came back. Even 2 technicians who'd been off duty when it happened had come in to say goodbye. Claire, the woman who'd filmed everything, was waiting in the parking lot. She approached hesitantly as Marlena helped Bella into the back seat of her car. "I hope this is okay," Claire said, holding up her phone. "But I wanted you to see something." She pulled up her social media, and Marlena's breath caught. The video had gone viral. Millions of views, hundreds of thousands of shares, comments in dozens of languages, all saying variations of the same thing. "Don't give up. Keep fighting. Love is worth it." "People are calling her the miracle dog," Claire said softly. "But I think they're missing the point. It's not about the miracle. It's about the choice. Bella chose to fight. You chose to listen. That's what's touching people." Marlena scrolled through the comments, tears blurring her vision. "My dog is 14 and I've been thinking about when to let go. This gave me hope. Sometimes they're not ready when we think they are. The love between them is everything. I'm not crying, you're crying." "She's become a symbol," Claire continued, "of not giving up, of trusting the bond over the prognosis, of choosing love even when it's hard." She paused. "I hope that's okay, that I shared it." Marlena looked back at Bella, settled in the back seat, watching her through the window with those pale blue eyes. "It's okay," Marlena said. "If Bella's story can help someone else, if it can give someone else the courage to really look at their dog and listen to what they're saying, then I'm glad you shared it." Claire hugged her, quick and fierce. "Thank you for reminding us what love looks like." The first week home was an adjustment. Bella slept most of the time, her body recovering from the trauma of the crash and the stress of hospitalization. But when she was awake, she followed Marlena from room to room, slowly, carefully, but deliberately, as if afraid that if she let Marlena out of her sight, she might disappear. Marlena worked from home those first days, her laptop set up at the kitchen table so she could be near Bella's bed. Every hour or so, she'd kneel beside her and stroke her fur, whisper reassurances, remind her that she was safe. The second week, Bella started showing small signs of improvement. She ate more readily. Her steps grew slightly steadier. The medication was managing her pain effectively, and without the constant stress, her body seemed to be settling into a new normal. Not healthy, but stable, present. Dr. Marcus had warned that this might be temporary, a plateau before decline, but Marlena chose not to live in that future fear. She chose to live each day, each moment, each small victory. On day 12, something remarkable happened. Marlena had taken Bella outside to the small backyard for her evening bathroom break. Bella had been doing these trips slowly, carefully, with Marlena supporting her hindquarters when needed. But this time, as they stood together under the early evening sky, Bella took a step forward, then another, and another, not with help, not with support, just walking, slow, shaky. Her back legs are still weak, her gait uneven, but walking. Bella? Marlena's voice broke. The husky looked back at her, and in those pale blue eyes was something that looked almost like pride. See? I'm still here. I can still do this. She took 3 more steps, then paused, waiting for Marlena to catch up. Marlena fell into step beside her, matching her pace, matching her careful deliberation. They walked together across the grass, Bella's body trembling with effort but not stopping, not giving up. 10 feet, 15, 20. When Bella finally stopped, sides heaving, Marlena knelt beside her, cupping her face in both hands. "You're incredible," she whispered. "Do you know that? You're the strongest, bravest, most stubborn dog I've ever known." Bella's tail wagged. A real wag this time, not just a twitch, and she leaned into Marlena's touch. They stayed there for a long time, woman and dog, under the darkening sky. Marlena didn't know how many more walks they'd have, how many more evenings, how many more moments like this. But she knew this. They'd chosen each other. Again. Against the odds, against the prognosis, against the ending everyone had expected. Bella had refused to give up, and Marlena had learned to listen. Inside the house, Marlena's phone buzzed with another notification. The video had reached 10 million views. Messages poured in from people around the world sharing their own stories. Dogs who'd rallied, animals who defied expectations, bonds that had proven stronger than medicine. Bella had become more than just a viral story. She'd become proof that love makes its own rules, writes its own ending, chooses its own timeline. As the stars began to appear overhead, Marlena helped Bella back inside, supporting her when her legs trembled, praising her for each step. "Good girl," she murmured. "Such a good girl." Bella settled into her bed with a contented sigh, and Marlena curled up beside her on the floor, her hand resting on Bella's side, feeling the steady rise and fall of her breathing. Still here, still together, still choosing to stay. 6 weeks after the day that almost ended everything, Marlena woke to find Bella already awake, watching her from her bed by the window. The morning light caught Bella's silver-gray fur, making her look almost ethereal, a ghost of the powerful dog she'd once been, but solid, present, undeniably real. "Good morning, old girl," Marlena said softly. Bella's tail thumped twice against her cushion. It had become their ritual, this quiet morning greeting. A confirmation that they'd both made it through another night, that they had another day together, whatever that day might hold. Marlena had learned to measure time differently now. Not in years or months, but in moments. On the way, Bella's eyes brightened when Marlena came home from the grocery store. In the soft huffing sound she made when she dreamed. In the deliberate way she still followed Marlena from room to room, as if to say, "Wherever you are is where I need to be." The video had continued to spread, 20 million views now, shared across continents, translated into languages Marlena couldn't read. News outlets had reached out for interviews. A publisher had called about a book. But Marlena had politely declined most of it. This wasn't about fame. It was never about fame. It was about a choice, about listening, about love that refused to be convenient or predictable or neat. Dr. Marcus had called it a miracle, but Marlena knew better. Miracles were things that happened to you. This was something Bella had done, something they'd done together. A refusal to surrender when surrender seemed like the only option. The days had settled into a gentle rhythm. Bella's mobility had improved to a plateau, not back to her younger years but functional. She could walk the perimeter of the backyard. She could navigate the house. She could eat on her own, though Marlena still hand-fed her sometimes because Bella seemed to enjoy the attention. The staff at the clinic had stayed in touch. Sarah texted every few days asking for updates, sharing the messages that poured into the clinic from people inspired by Bella's story. Dr. Klein had visited once, bringing flowers and an apology Marlena didn't think was necessary. "I almost ended her life," Dr. Klein had said, standing in Marlena's living room, looking at Bella sleeping peacefully in her bed. "You almost prevented her suffering," Marlena had corrected. "There's a difference. You couldn't have known. Neither of us could." "But she knew," Dr. Klein had whispered, and they'd both understood what she meant. Bella had known. When everyone else had seen an ending, Bella had seen the possibility. On a Tuesday afternoon in late autumn, Marlena sat on the back porch with a blanket wrapped around her shoulders and Bella lying beside her, head resting on Marlena's lap. The air was crisp, the leaves turning gold and red, the world preparing for winter. Bella's breathing has been slower these days. Her body is thinner despite Marlena's best efforts to keep weight on her. The vet visits had confirmed what they all knew. She was declining again. Gently this time, naturally, the way old dogs do when they've fought all the fights they need to fight. But her eyes, those pale blue eyes that had locked onto Marlena's in that clinic and refused to look away, were still clear, still present, still full of something that looked remarkably like contentment. "We've had a good run, haven't we?" Marlena said, stroking Bella's head. "Better than good. Extraordinary." Bella's ear twitched in response. Marlena thought about all the years behind them, the chaos and joy of Bella's puppyhood, the adventures across hiking trails and mountain passes, the quiet evenings when Bella's presence had been the only thing keeping loneliness at bay, the way Bella had witnessed every version of Marlena, broken, healing, growing, and loved them all equally. And then that day, that impossible day when Bella had crawled across a clinic floor and taught everyone watching that love doesn't follow medical charts or statistical probabilities. Love makes its own rules. "I'm not ready," Marlena admitted quietly. "I know I'm supposed to be preparing myself, supposed to be thinking about when, but I'm not ready. I don't think I ever will be." Bella shifted slightly, pressing closer against Marlena's leg. "But I promise you this," Marlena continued, her voice steady despite the tears. "When it is time, when you're ready, I won't make you fight anymore. I'll listen, really listen, the way I should have listened that day before you had to drag yourself across that floor to make me understand." The sun was setting now, painting the sky in shades of amber and rose. Bella lifted her head, slowly, carefully, and looked out at the fading light. Then she looked up at Marlena, and in her eyes was something Marlena had learned to recognize over these past 6 weeks. Peace. Not the peace of giving up. The peace of having chosen well. Of having fought when fighting mattered and resting now that rest was earned. "I love you," Marlena whispered. "More than words. More than anything. Thank you for not leaving when I thought you should. Thank you for teaching me that sometimes the hardest thing and the right thing aren't the same thing." Bella's tail moved against the porch boards, 3 soft thumps that might have been "I love you too" or "I'm still here" or simply "yes." The video continued to ripple outward, touching lives Marlena would never meet. Dr. Marcus told her about a case in his practice. A 14-year-old lab whose owner had scheduled euthanasia but postponed it after seeing Bella's story. The dog had rallied and bought himself 3 more good months. Sarah shared messages from veterinary conferences where Bella's case was being discussed, not as a medical anomaly but as a reminder. Ask the right questions. Watch for the signs. Not all dogs in crisis are dying. Some are just fighting. Claire, who'd filmed it all, sent a message on the 6-week anniversary. Bella didn't just save herself that day. She saved everyone who needed permission to hope. But for Marlena, sitting on her porch with Bella's warmth against her leg and the evening air turning cold, it was simpler than that. Bella had reminded her that love isn't about perfect timing or ideal circumstances or knowing exactly when to hold on and when to let go. Love is about showing up, about listening, about honoring the bond even when, especially when it's hard. That night, as Marlena helped Bella settle into her bed, she knelt beside her one more time. Bella's eyes were already closing, heavy with sleep, but they opened when Marlena spoke. "This isn't goodbye," Marlena said softly. "A promise and a hope and a prayer all at once. Whatever happens, wherever you go, this isn't goodbye. It's just, see you later. See you in every sunset, every trail, every moment of love I recognize because you taught me what it looks like." Bella's tail moved once more. A whisper of motion that said "I understand" or "thank you" or maybe just "good night." Marlena kissed her head and turned off the light. In the darkness, she could hear Bella's breathing. Steady, peaceful, alive. Tomorrow wasn't guaranteed. Next week, next month, next year, none of it was certain. But tonight they were together. They had chosen each other. And in that choice was everything that mattered. Love hadn't ended that day in the clinic. It had deepened. And for however long they had, days or weeks or, against all odds, longer, they would measure their time not by what was ending but by what remained. Not by what they'd lost, but by what they'd fought to keep. Not by goodbye, but by the 1,000 small moments of still here, still us, still choosing. In the quiet of her bedroom, with Bella sleeping peacefully in the next room, Marlena closed her eyes. And for the first time in months, she wasn't afraid of tomorrow. Because Bella had taught her the most important lesson of all. Love doesn't conquer death. It never could. But it can choose life fiercely and completely, for as long as life allows. And sometimes, just sometimes, that's even more powerful than a miracle. So, Bella made it. Against every odd, every expectation, every medical chart that said it was over. And you made it too, all the way to the end of this story. That means something. Now here's my challenge to you. We're racing to 1,000 subscribers, and I believe this community, you, can make it happen. Not because you have to, but because stories like Bella's deserve to be heard. Because somewhere out there, someone needs permission to hope. Hit subscribe. Smash that like button. Tell me in the comments where you're watching from. I want to read every single city, every country, every place this story has reached. And share this video with someone who needs to hear it. Tag them. Send it. Make them cry in a good way. Bella didn't crawl across that clinic floor just to teach one person a lesson. She did it to remind all of us. Love fights. Love listens. Love doesn't quit. So don't you quit on this channel either. Subscribe. Let's hit 1,000 together. Let's prove that small actions like subscribing can build something beautiful. Thank you for being here. Thank you for believing in Bella's story. Now let's go change the world. One subscriber at a time. 6 weeks after a viral video showed a dying husky crawling across a veterinary clinic floor to reach her owner, Bella continues to defy expectations. While her long-term prognosis remains uncertain, she has gained a following of millions who check daily for updates. Veterinarians worldwide report an increase in owners seeking second opinions before euthanasia, citing Bella's story as inspiration to listen harder to what their pets might be telling them. Marlena Hardy declined requests for interviews but shared one final message. Bella didn't perform a miracle. She just loved me enough to show me she wasn't ready. The miracle is that I finally listened.